So one of my favorite movies of all time is this intense action-packed drama about a group of friends who are captured and then they're held hostage and they're forced to fight for their freedom, but in a very unique way, by playing a basketball game. Some of you know the movie I'm talking about. It's the one and only Space Jam. Space Jam. So I absolutely love this movie. This is my childhood right here, and if some of you have never seen it, I feel sorry for you. You got to go see it. It's a great movie. But basically, this is what happens in the movie. So there are evil aliens who set out to abduct the Looney Tunes, okay, and to take them back to their alien world as slaves. Now, Bugs Bunny is able to strike up a deal with the aliens to play a basketball game. And if the Looney Tunes win, then they remain free. If they lose, they become slaves forever. The problem is, none of them actually play any basketball. And they got to go up against these guys, the Monstars they're called. So they don't stand a chance against these guys, right? Until Bugs Bunny comes up with a brilliant idea. To their mediocre mishmash of a team, he's figured out the secret ingredient that they need to help them win. None other than the great Michael Jordan, right? And so, long story short, MJ joins their team, and after a nail-biter, edge-of-your-seat, back-and-forth game, the Looney Tunes are able to win the game with a buzzer-beater shot right at the very last second. So it's this happy ending. The Looney Tunes achieve their goal. They remain free thanks to the great Michael Jordan, the secret ingredient to their winning team. Okay, what does that have to do with anything today? Right, that's your question. As I said at the beginning of Mass, today in the church is one of the highest celebrations of the liturgical year. We celebrate the Solemnity of Mary, Mother of God. Now, as Catholics, we know that Mary goes by an infinite number of titles, right? Mother of God, Virgin Mary, Queen of Heaven, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, Our Lady of Guadalupe, and the list goes on. But today, I want to propose for us a title for Mary that, although is unofficial, I believe is very fitting for her. And this is the title: Mary, the Secret Ingredient. Now, this is unofficial. You most likely won't find this in any church document, but I think it describes her so well. Right? If you think about cooking, how a single ingredient can elevate a dish to a new height of flavor and delight. Well, Mary is that secret ingredient for our spiritual life. That she elevates our spiritual life. She helps deepen our life with God in a way that nothing else and no one else can do. So she's that secret ingredient that we all need, not just to win a basketball game, but for the most important task of life, to grow in holiness and to become saints. And so the question that we ask ourselves today is this secret ingredient a part of your life? I dare to claim that many of us probably aren't experiencing fully the power of her help in our life. Maybe we just don't know how big of a deal Mary really is. Maybe we've never really understood how we as Catholics are supposed to approach Mary. Maybe you've never been told what impact she can actually make in your life. And so for many of us, Mary remains this untapped secret. Well, if Mary truly is the secret ingredient in our pursuit of holiness, just as the saints for centuries have said and have experienced themselves, then we need to get after it. Right? If we want to effectively grow in holiness, then we need to tap into this secret, into her help. We need to find out all about her, right? What she can do for us. We need to know why is Mary so important? How do we properly honor Mary? What does she do for us today? And as we come to know all about this secret ingredient, Mary, the Mother of God, then we can tap into the incomparable power of Mary's role in our life. So we start with that question: why is Mary so important? Why does the church honor Mary so highly and so often as we do today? Well, it's very simple. Because Mary plays an irreplaceable role in God's plan of salvation. Just think about the Christmas story. Aside from baby Jesus, there's only one other necessary person in the whole story. That's Mary, right? Everyone else is kind of extra to the story. Even St. Joseph, right? It could have happened without him there. But she was the mother who brought forth Jesus into the world. And as we know, Christmas absolutely changed everything, right? It's because of Christmas that humanity has salvation and new life. Now, Mary didn't do it, but it did take place through her. And so, irreplaceable in this whole story of salvation is Mary's motherhood of Jesus, who is truly and fully God. Hence why we call her the Mother of God. And so this is why Mary is so important, right? Because of the key role that she played in God's plan of salvation for every single one of us. That's why we celebrate and honor Mary so highly, just like we do today. Now, a very important question is, how do we properly honor Mary? Right? It's not uncommon for our Christian brothers and sisters sometimes to question our Catholic devotion to Mary. Right? Sometimes we hear a misconception that as Catholics we put too much attention on Mary, that we worship her as if she is God. Right? Have any of you heard that misconception? Well, this is what the Catechism of the Catholic Church says. The Church's devotion to the Blessed Virgin differs essentially from the adoration which is given to Jesus and equally to the Father and the Holy Spirit. In other words, the way that we approach Mary is not the same as the way we approach the Trinity. Or put it another way here. In the history of the Church, one of the greatest advocates of devotion to Mary was a 17th century saint named St. Louis de Montfort. He dedicated his life promoting devotion to Mary in the church. But in relation to God, this is what he says. Mary, being a mere creature that has come from the hands of God, is in comparison with his infinite majesty less than an atom. She is nothing at all, he says. That's a pretty bold statement from one of the greatest Marian saints, right? In fact, this reminds me of a Korean guy I used to play basketball with in high school. And English wasn't his first language, but boy, did this guy love to trash talk on the court. And one of his favorite lines, he would look me dead in the eye, and he would say, "You are nothing to me. You are nothing to me." And then he would walk off casually as if he didn't say anything. And I'm left there saying like, bro, that's hurtful, right? But it's kind of like what St. Louis is saying about Mary here. Except that this statement isn't meant to be disrespectful to Mary. Rather, it gives due respect to God alone. St. Louis is clear. Mary is not God. And so we don't worship Mary, but we do give her our honor and our respect. Right? Just like we honor and respect other people in our lives, our elders, our leaders, veterans, our role models, except that we give to Mary the absolute highest degree of honor. Because among all human beings, she is first and foremost. Of all the people that are worthy of imitation, she's at the top of the list. And so we approach her as our model of holiness. We imitate her virtues. Right? We strive to have the same faithfulness that she did, because nobody did it better than Mary. Now, perhaps the most important question for us today is, what does Mary do for us now? Again, a very simple answer to this. Mary brings us to Jesus. Mary brings us to Jesus in a way that only the mother of Jesus can do, because of the intimacy that they share as mother and son. Just think about it. There's no other human person who was and is as close to Jesus as his mother Mary, right? Not even his closest apostles, right? She was there at his birth, obviously, because she was the one giving birth to him, right? But she was also there every step of his childhood. She was there beside him throughout his public ministry as an adult. She was there at his passion. She was there at the foot of the cross. She was there from the beginning to the end of his earthly life. And so the bond between Jesus and Mary is incomparable. And even till now, she shares in this unique mother-son intimacy with Jesus in heaven. And it's in this union that then she exercises her unique God-given role of bringing all of us to Jesus every time that we ask. This is what St. Louis wrote. He said, Mary is the safest, easiest, shortest, and most perfect way of approaching Jesus. That's her unique role. That's what Mary can do. That's what she wants to do for us now, to bring us as close to Jesus as possible. And this is precisely what makes her the secret ingredient to our spiritual life. That if our spiritual life is all about getting closer and closer to Jesus, then there is no better person to turn to for help than our Blessed Mother, who lives in perfect closeness with Jesus. That's what she's all about. That's what she does for us. In her hands, we are brought to Jesus. And so I go back to that very first question that I asked. Is this secret ingredient a part of your life? Are you experiencing the full power of her help in your spiritual life? Maybe some of us right now are feeling stuck in our spiritual journey. Maybe you haven't really been feeling a lot of growth or change or progress in a while. Or maybe some of you don't even know that you can go to greater depths in your spiritual life. You just thought, this is it, and there's nothing more, without knowing that there is more. Well, maybe you're ready for a greater presence of Mary in your life, to lead you to new spiritual depths that you've never experienced before. And so on that note, as we begin this new year, I want to throw out a New Year's challenge for all of us. And it's to do one of two things, or to do both if you're up for it. But the first is this: to start praying the rosary. Start praying it regularly. This is one of the most powerful forms of prayer. Meditation on the life of Jesus through the eyes and the heart of Mary. But before the rosary became regular in my life, my engagement with it was very, very minimal. Basically, I would have a rosary hanging on my rearview mirror, and every time I get into the car, I would grasp the rosary, I would cross myself, and then I would drive off. That was the extent of praying my rosary. That's it. And then maybe if I was really in a crisis, I would pray the ultimate desperate prayer. Hail Mary, full of grace, help me find a parking space. Right? Right? I know some of y'all have prayed that before, right? But when I really started praying the rosary in a real way, it had a huge effect on me. Like, I really started to experience Mary as my own mother, and in a real way feeling her closeness and her help in my day-to-day life. So that's the first challenge, to pray the rosary. The second challenge is this: that if you're really looking to deepen your spiritual life this year like never before, do a Marian consecration. Now, if you've never heard of this before, it's an ancient practice in the church of giving yourself completely to Jesus through Mary, choosing her to be your spiritual mother in a very formal way. It's a practice that's been around since the early church, and many saints have spoken about Marian consecration as an absolute game changer in the spiritual life. In particular, I recommend a book that leads you through it in a very simple and easy way. It's called 33 Days to Morning Glory. And basically, you spend a month doing some daily reading and spiritual reading and preparation. And then at the end of that month, you make a personal act of consecration in a very formal way, in prayer, giving yourself completely to Jesus through Mary. And to be honest with you, I can't overstate how powerful this is. I've been doing this almost every year since my early 20s, and it has been an absolute game changer in my life. So I highly, highly recommend that you check this book out. And so I throw out those two challenges for all of us. These two concrete ways that we can let our Blessed Mother Mary play a greater role in our life this year. And I promise you, this will level up your spiritual life. This will deepen your closeness with Jesus like never before. I want to end this morning by sharing with you a very personal experience. So back in 2013 was when I first did a Marian consecration using the book that I just recommended. So I spent 33 days doing all the readings, doing all the preparation, and then came consecration day. And on that day, I spent some extensive time in the chapel at my home parish to complete the consecration. And a very powerful thing happened to me during that time of prayer. I was taken into a spiritual vision of sorts that felt like it was happening in real time. And today, I want to share with you that vision. I want to share with you what I saw. And so if you like, you can close your eyes at this time to help you imagine what I'm about to describe. So in this vision, I saw myself as a little 5-year-old boy. I'm standing in the middle of an enormous crowd of strangers, and everything about the crowd is gray and dark and chaotic. People pushing and shoving and screaming at each other. And as a little boy, in the middle of all of it, I have no idea why I am there or where I'm supposed to go. I have no recollection of family or friends, and I'm scared and alone. Then, out of nowhere, amongst the crowd appears a woman, very distinct from everyone else. Unlike the dark and gray crowd, she is in full color, dressed in blue and white, and very gentle in demeanor. And without saying a single word, she extends her hand towards me. And even though I don't know exactly who she is, I take her hand, somehow confident that she is my safety and comfort. With my hand in hers, she turns around towards the crowd, and we start walking in the direction from which she came. Weaving through the crowd, she starts leading me, knowing that there is something that I must see. And after a little while, we come to a stop, reaching what seems to be the front of the crowd. The woman turns back to me, and with the expression of a mother, she smiles at me and gestures for me to walk towards the site of the 3 crosses, only a short distance away. As I walk nervously and reluctantly towards the cross, I turn my eyes back to the woman behind me, and with a smile of perfect joy, she nods an affirmation to me, like a mother encouraging her child's first steps. I get to the cross. I slowly raise my gaze from the base to the crucified man's feet, to his battered knees, to his pierced side, and finally to his face. He is in his last moments of life, and with his last ounce of strength, he opens his eyes to meet mine. And in that instant, I am at perfect peace. This is where I am supposed to be. This is what my heart desires to see, whom my heart desires to meet. Here, face to face with Jesus, I am home. And then that's where the vision ended. And as I returned to the reality of the chapel that I was sitting in, for the very first time ever, I profoundly understood and experienced Mary's unique role in my life. That as my mother, as our mother, Mary's one desire is to take us by the hand and bring us face to face with Jesus.